Hey guys, want to give you a update with my Sparko F8 buggy. So I had a pretty interesting weekend. So I practiced on Saturday with my 8X 2.0, and Edward, the track designer, wanted to run my Sparko F8. He wanted to give it a try, and I told him I didn't want to run it because I'm waiting for some parts for it to arrive. So we've got these skid plates, for example, here. These are the prototypes made out of plastic, and I've got some coming for stainless steel, coming in made out of stainless steel, and they haven't arrived yet. And I didn't want to run the plastic ones because they're a bit too thick. But anyways, he convinced me to run on Sunday, so I ended up putting a few tanks through my 8X 2.0 in the morning, and before lunch I put a couple tanks through the Sparko F8. And my original diff setup was 20-30-10 because the previous track had molasses on it, so it had a bunch of traction. So I had to dial it down a bit. So I went from 12-10-5, and that was pretty much the ticket. And after lunch, Edward decided that he wanted to drive it. So he asked me if he could drive it. And I said, okay, go for it, man. So he ended up driving it, and a couple of our other fast guys came during lunch, and he could help himself. He started calling out the guys from downstairs to come up and drive the car because he liked it so much. He's like, you guys need to try this. So they all drove it. So we had our guy Dino, then Chino, and then another guy came, Mark. So they ended up driving it, and they put, I don't know how many tanks, I lost count, but they ended up all liking it. And actually, I was surprised how fast they adapted to it because they all have different driving styles. But after like 3 or 4 laps, I mean, they were literally driving the car like they owned it. So after that little session, dude, it was like a makeshift pit crew. They all just started wrenching on the car. They adjusted the droop. They said the rear sway bar, the 2.8 was far too thick, so we went down to a 2.6. We had some camber, adjusted the links here. And we didn't touch any of the shock oil. The shock oil is pretty solid, other than they recommended putting a softer oil in front here. But other than that, they loved the way the car drove. They said it was super easy forgiving and very easy to drive hard. And they said a bunch of other stuff. But they've never, ever said this about my 8X 2.0. And I've had that for a while. I've had that for maybe 8 months or longer. And they've had opportunities to drive it. They've had opportunities to set it up. But they've never really liked it. I've gotten used to it, and I own a lot of parts, man. I own like $1,500 worth of brand new spares. I've got like 10 full clutches with all set up with brand new shoes. I got spare shoes. I've got what else? Extra diffs. I mean, I've got a ton of parts. I'm heavily invested in the platform. It's almost a shame, because I've got so much money invested in the 8X 2.0 that I'm kind of sad that that this worked out so well. And for me, it was 9-day difference, especially after they tweaked on it, because I literally didn't drive the car most of the entire afternoon. I literally just let them run with it. And not only that, they were the ones wrenching on it. They were so enthusiastic that they were willing to do all the wrenching themselves. I literally just sat back and relaxed, and they drove tanks and tanks through it. I literally refilled my ball, I would say an easy about 4 times. And I probably ran it 2 tanks that whole afternoon, and we were there till about 5:30, maybe almost 6 o'clock. And it was only at the end there that I was able to drive a full tank through it. And that was only after they said, dude, we got to put some good tires on this thing. So we ended up swapping like 4 tire changes. And then about the 5th tire, we found a set of tires I had, which are from VP Pro. I forgot the exact tire, but that was the ticket for that day. And they were so excited to finally get some good tires on the car. And like I said, it was dialed. I mean, I couldn't pull the controller out of one of our guys' hands, Mark. I mean, he just kept on going and going. I mean, I literally refilled the tank maybe 2 or 3 times before he pulled it in, which I don't mind. These guys are all my friends, but I've never seen them so enthusiastic. I mean, they did all the wrenching. I literally didn't touch the car. I mean, that's how enthusiastic they were to work on it. And again, they sure as hell wasn't that enthusiastic with my 8X 2.0, man. And what's even crazier is Edward, the guy that drives the S-Works right now. He's like, dude, Andrew, next time I see you, next week, hopefully, dude, I can't wait to drive the car again, man. We got to change the clutch shoes. I think the clutch shoes are too stiff. Let's put some point nines in there, and maybe 2.9s and 1.0, and dial it right where we need it to be, because it's too aggressive right now. And also, let's change that front shock oil, and I think that's just going to be so dialed, man. So I've never seen him that enthusiastic to drive, a car, especially a car that's not his, So I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that was a testament to how easy this car is, how easy this car is to drive and how forgiving it is. That's exactly their words. I mean, one guy was like, "Hey, man, I love the suspension. I don't know what you did, but it's just so forgiving, so easy to drive." And that's basically what they all said. And again, they all have different driving styles. So I asked them, I was like, so does the car have potential? They're like, dude, yeah. So that's exciting, man. And these guys, let's see, Dino drives a Mugen, and then Mark and Chino and Edward all drive S-Works. So they're really impressed with the C-Hub car and the Sparko, and I'm really happy with it. What I'm going to do next time, though, I'm going to do like a blind test, and I'm actually going to have them drive it with the short arm setup, with the more negative offset, and I think it's going to be even easier to drive, because I really think that's the ticket, that negative offset, especially with a car or track with such high traction conditions and not very bumpy. I think this long arm is good for maybe when it's got a little bit more bumpiness, need a little bit more stability. But I think with the wider or the more offset, I think it's going to be easier to drive, especially with a track like ours. So I'm going to do that to them. I'm going to switch this up without even telling them and see if they'd like to give it a spin and see if they can notice the difference. But overall, pretty exciting weekend, even though I didn't get to drive my car much in the second half of Sunday. So yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything else. It was a very fun experience. I've never seen them get together like that and all work together on one single car like that before. And again, I didn't have to do any wrenching. I was doing some wrenching on it prior to lunch. I had changed the diff oil myself, but after that, they just literally took over. It was awesome to see, and awesome to see them just like brainstorm and bounce ideas off each other, and seeing how those ideas translate on the track, and how they were just kept on moving forward and forward each time they were tweaking it. And I mean, these were minor. Some of the stuff was minor, like adding a degree of camber in the back, add some toe out in the front, changing this link from the outside, raising this hub, it just started getting better and better. So I think by next week, once I switch out the shock oil, and actually I'm going to change out the pistons too. I'm going to go with the VRP 6-hole pistons, the game changers. I think that's going to be also a big improvement over the normal 6-hole pistons, because I've had good luck with those. So I'm going to be doing that change next week, and I'll most likely just forgo the 3-shoe clutch and install the 4-shoe clutch that I have. But you know what? Since I have the 3-shoe, I might just have, and that's what they were running with, I might just change the clutch springs that they suggested and let them run with that till it's worn out. So actually, I might not change to the 4-shoe quite yet. But yeah, man, good progress so far. And next week we'll have the skid plates all finished up, and there's a couple more items I have on order that's going to be arriving. So hopefully I'll be able to install them this week and get them all on the car. And our little conversion here of the turnbuckles to use the factory hinge pin here, upper hinge pin here, and the factory block here worked out perfectly. So no problems there. But next week we're going to test the upper plastic arms, the revised material that they changed to. So we're going to give that a go, see if it'll withstand our track, because when the track designer and the owner was here a couple months ago for Philippine Masters, they kept on breaking that upper arm. That's why they revised the material. And they did that quickly. Like I said, they have an advantage being in Taiwan, especially being in the hometown of RC manufacturing. It's easy for them to make changes. And again, that's going to be a benefit to Sparko versus other brands, because, like with TLR, like I said before, they're a pretty big company, and I don't think they have the resources to just concentrate on one platform, So I think that gives Sparko an edge. So yeah, I just want to give you an update regarding how it ran over the weekend, and I also look forward to hearing from other people, man. More and more people are getting the car and putting track time on it, and I've got a couple guys messaging me, talking and asking about setup tips. So I'm getting excited that this car is getting into more hands. So hopefully, we'll hear from other users, not just from me, and hopefully this will put some other guys at ease. Whether to buy this kit or not, I really think it's a fantastic kit. It's definitely an upgrade for me as far as the driving experience over my 8X 2.0. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow because, again, I've spent so much money on a darn thing. I mean, this box right here, this box alone, there's $1,500 worth of brand new spares in this box alone. I mean, it's going to be hard to get rid of that. And there's no way in this planet I'm going to be selling every one of those spares one by one. I don't have that time, man. So, I'll probably have to sell it, the bulk of it for a heavy discount. So, like that pains me, to be honest. But, I'm really so glad that all the little things I saw on this car that I really liked, all the little attention to details worked out to a better driving experience, because there's tons of cars out there that look good, and they look like a fast car, well designed, but when you put it on the track, they're just not easy to drive, or there's something else wrong with it. It doesn't have enough steering, or yada yada, doesn't have good front rear balance. So to have a car like this that's just so easy to drive and so forgiving and easier to drive hard. And what's funny is even the guys said when they literally all watched me. They said, fuck practice. They stopped practicing in their own cars. They literally sat there, watched me drive this car. They've never done that. And one of the things they commented is like, dude, Andrew, we've never seen you run this many laps not crashing. Yeah, that's how big of a difference it is. And not just that. They even said, man, you're going to be in the A main, and you're going to be beating some of these guys, or listing some names, and you're going to be able to beat these guys no problem now. Because I've always been fast. I've always had a fast lap, but I was never, ever able to put down consistently. That was my hardest thing. It's not like I can't put down a fast lap, but we know that fast laps don't win races. We know consistency does. And from what they saw, they said that I'm going to be able to, move up a couple steps up, against some of our local guys, and really establish myself, to being, fast, like, to be able to compete, within the top 5 or top 6 of what we have here. I still really believe I still have a long ways to go of being in the top 3 when it comes to our fastest guys. I mean, those guys are just consistent and out of this world. I mean, they even made these are the guys that made the A main at Philippine Masters when David Ungaro and Robert Battle was here. I forget how you pronounce his last name, but anyways, those are the guys that made the A main with these guys. And then you had all the top guys from Australia here, so these guys are fast. I'm probably about 2 seconds away from them when it comes to a fast lap, but they have that consistency down. That's something I couldn't get. And especially when driving my 8X 2.0 hard, I just couldn't get that fast up consistency. But yesterday, man, I was able to put down quite a number of laps consistently without having to crash, and they immediately noticed that. So it's very encouraging, to hear that from these guys. And hopefully, when it comes to race day, I will be able to perform the same way. So I look forward to putting some more, time with this car. Anyways, again, I look forward to hearing more from other people that are part of the group that own the car. And let's hear some more feedback from everybody once they get some more track time with it. Thanks for your time, guys.